Hi, I'm Kristen Hubert from Upcycle My Stuff, and I'm here in my son's bedroom, and what I'm going to try to do today is make him a bookcase out of cardboard boxes. He's got loads and loads of books, and we only have this one little IKEA shelf. It's just not quite enough. So the inspiration was this box. It's like a vegetable crate thing, I think, that we got, and I worked out that a lot of his books fit kind of half the height of it, and they have that nice little lip like you find on bookshelves. So the first idea is to cut this in half and put it side by side. Whoops. And it'll be the top layer of the bookshelf, so that's going to give me the width, which I'm pretty sure will roughly fit in between this radiator and the wall, which is where I want it. And then for the bottom layer, I'm going to be using just regular cardboard boxes, but I'm going to be cutting them a different kind of way, so that they can support that top shelf and just not be quite so deep, because you don't really want it quite this deep into the room. So that's the idea anyway. I don't have a set in stone plan, but we're going to see how it goes. The tools that you're going to need will be a craft knife, some glue, doesn't have to be this one, but some kind of heavy duty glue, either a ruler or a measuring tape, a pen or pencil, and then I've got, just because I'm a sewer, I've got a cutting mat, but just anything to protect your floor, so you're not, when you're using the craft knife, you're not ruining your floors. And totally optional, not 100% necessary, but I've got a few little clamps because I'm going to glue some bits of cardboard together, so just while it's setting. But if you don't have them, just sort of find something else heavy you can push against it to keep it where you want it. Okay, so let's get started.
So this is the back of that vegetable crate that I'm going to cut in half. So this is me just measuring the halfway point. I did it in the front as well, and I'm measuring it along the back and then the sides, just so that I can obviously cut it in half accurately. Now I've started off this project with a kind of wonky, slightly broken craft knife, but if you stick around, you'll see me switch to a much easier one halfway through the project. So that's why it looks like this is really difficult to cut through the cardboard, but it shouldn't be. And this is me just putting the two sides together, and that's going to be my top shelf. So then I obviously was measuring to see what the width was going to be, and now I'm just taking off little bits and pieces from the box that I don't actually want to be on the bookcase. And so then I started gluing. I gunged up the top of my glue bottle a long time ago, so that's why I'm strangely sticking cardboard into it. Obviously, just clean your nozzle every time you use your your bottle of glue is the lesson there. So I'm just obviously slathering the glue all over, and then I'm going to press the two sides together, and then try and hold them in place while they dry. So I've got this little I've lost the name for it, but you can see what it is, right? Clamp, that's what it is. A little mini clamp, just to keep the sides together while that glue is drying. And that's the top shelf built. So next, what I did was measure the remaining. So I had that box that you just saw get whipped away was the box that I'm sort of starting with. I like the size of it, but then there was this extra space up to the corner. So I'm now measuring another box that I'm going to have to cut in order to fill that space. So obviously I was trying to fit my bookcase into a particular corner, but you could skip this step if you just got a free wall, and so you just want, you could use two boxes and two similar size boxes would probably work well. I didn't have two that were exactly the same size, but if you did, that would make a good bottom shelf. So you'll see when I'm finished what I mean, because mine turned out a little bit asymmetrical. So I'm just taking off the flaps of the second box here before I cut it up, and I'm going to leave one of the flaps in place and glue it down, so the side that's going to be on the wall, and that's just to give it a little bit more security. I guess it's just going to be a little bit thicker, the cardboard on that side, so hopefully it will help to hold it all up. That's the idea anyway. So next I'm going to cut off the whole of that side that I didn't need, and just put it aside. I'm going to use a little bit of it to make a little lip kind of shelf in the front. So I'm trying to sort of mimic that sort of front little lip on the bookcase for the top shelf, and I'm going to try and put it on the bottom as well. But this is just me again taking off that side of the box that I didn't need. So you might be able to skip this step if you're not trying to cram something into a funny shape space. But if you are, then this is how I did it. So this is just me gluing down that flap on that box. So this is the bit that I definitely would recommend if you're doing this like 2-shelf thing. So my top shelf is thin, depth wise. So I didn't want a great big thick box over top of it. So what I'm doing here is I've measured along the top how deep the top shelf is, and I'm mimicking that on the top of the box. And then I measured up, I think it was about 3.5, 4 centimeters from the bottom, and drew a little line. And now I'm meeting those lines with the ruler. You can see it's kind of going diagonally. So it's very similar to the way you would make like a magazine file out of a cereal box, which I've also got a video on. But you're basically just cutting away part of the side, and you're making the top of it shorter. So this is the box with all the excess cardboard cut away, and that's that little shelf in the front. And then this is the box that I cut to fill in the extra space, and I'm just making sure that the top bit that's going to support the top shelf is the same depth here. So that's what I'm cutting away, and I've got the better craft knife now, so it's working a bit faster. Once I cut that all away, this is me just, I've just angled it on its side so I can work with it a bit better, so I can glue the little makeshift bit that fits in the corner up against the main box that's going to be the bigger section in the bottom half of the bookcase.
So I've got my 2 sections drying now. The top bit here, which has been drying the longest, so I'm going to take that clamp off in a second. And then I have this section, this bit I quite like. This is what I was sort of aiming for. I don't know if you can see it, this kind of angled side thing. And then the other bit is, to be honest, just to kind of fill in the space because I need it to be that wide for the top. So hopefully it's going to look better when I cover it. I've got, my son has picked out this wallpaper. It's got birds on it. He's got birds in his room. General bird theme. But what I'm going to do first, even though I've used the glue, and I didn't mention it at the top here, but is to reinforce it with some duct tape, because I just don't feel like it's going to hold with just the glue. So you could decide to only use the duct tape or choose them both. I'm just going to reinforce it just to be extra sure it's going to hold. So that's the plan.
So once I got all the bottom and the top both duct taped and secured, glued the 2 sections together, and then I figured out that I needed a little support, roughly in the middle or 3/4 of the way through that large section. So I just cut out another piece of cardboard. That's what I'm doing there, and duct taped it in place. The little lip shelves on the bottom were glued first, and then I added the duct tape to reinforce them. But this little section I'm putting in now is just so that when you put the books on the top shelf above it, it doesn't sag in the middle. So that's the idea behind that. I ran out of duct tape, so I started using clear packing tape. I definitely think duct tape is better, but it did hold all right. Once it was all taped up, I started to cut my wrapping paper and wrap it. I'm not gonna lie, this bit was really tedious. If you have something like contact paper that's sticky on the back, that would be much faster. This one I had to play around with cutting at the different, you can kind of see where it's hitting things and it's not going to wrap like you would a parcel. You have to kind of cut it down and fold it over. It did take a while. You basically need to take each section and just think as best you can about how you would wrap it if it was a present or a parcel, and it's the same basic idea, but it does take a while, and there's lots of kind of measuring the different sections for the paper and stuff like that. So I'm going to speed this up quite a bit because I don't really want to relive it, and I don't think you need to see it all either. So here we are. The bookcase is all finished. Can you see that? Let me move. So I'm not gonna lie, halfway through I was thinking, what am I doing? This is a pain to be wrapping. So if you've got something else you can use, contact paper, something like that, that's already sticky on the back, probably make it much easier. But to be fair, my son loves his birds, so he's really happy with it, and I'm pretty happy with how sturdy it's turned out. I did put the heavier books on the bottom and the kind of bigger softcover books on the top, just to be safe. And but it like holds way more than I actually thought it would. So like, I don't know if you can you see? There's just tons of books in there. So I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, perfectionist in me would like the decoration to be a little bit neater, but he doesn't mind, and I think it fits pretty nicely in the space, and definitely is better than the sort of piles of books we had here before. And obviously they're at his level, so he can go and pick out his stories at night and stuff and bring them to the bed. So anyway, that is the finished bookcase. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like tutorials like this or just ideas, then please do subscribe to the channel, like it, tick the bell for those notifications, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.